Good morning, Mr.
Camacho.
Camacho. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Sky, and good morning to your listeners. I'm doing good. I'm
We're
doing very
delighted
good.
to have you, but your young man, two gas station, I have to reach before my pass before me reach your house. What will
That's
you say
that's
the
the
season over?
best things. The best things make it worth it, right?
Yes, sir.
Ah,
We're great. We're great. It's great to have you. We're delighted to have you this morning, and the reason and the purpose why you're here this morning. We're delighted, boss lady. Mm-hmm.
right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we at WTP Media, and of course on Good Morning with Sly, we make sure that we keep you up to date with everything that's important and relevant in Antigua and Barbuda.
And this year important. We tell you.
And one of the critical things, we are now in the closed seasons. We're in the closed seasons. Let me make sure I get the
Close season for what?
two. Slightly hold on in chat. Slightly behave the man. Yes, we are in the closed season for lobster and what we call chub or parrotfish.
Chub
And
fish.
yes, SlyJ,
Mr.
yes.
Camacho got locked down the chub fish and that.
He's not locking it down. He's not locking it down. We're going to go through and explain why it is important. And I know this is a continuous process, but many of us are still not fully appreciative of the whys and the wherefores. And so
right.
we decided this morning that we're going to have a marine ecologist. Really, you have to explain what that is in 30 seconds so that our young people can
30
understand
seconds.
that this is an option. And then we go
No
into the
problem.
conversation. So, first of all, what is a marine ecologist? Very
All right.
important.
So again, good morning, everybody. And it's a good question. So when you watch National Geographic
Hmm.
and you see all those videos of the marine creatures and people diving and talking about what they do and how they do it and how the whale interacts with the krill and how the shark eat the seal and that kind of stuff. That is the glamorous part of what I do. That is essentially what a marine
Well, Lord,
ecologist
this
is. It's
young man,
trying to
look.
understand. Oh,
No, go ahead,
Go
Rulio.
ahead, William.
I'm saying we just try and understand how the marine environment and the organisms and the ecosystems all
Hmm.
interact with each other
Hmm.
and how it is we benefit from
Hmm.
it.
Excellent.
So
And so now we
and that
comes.
is really how I got inspired. I actually got inspired from seeing that kind of
So
information on
you've
TV.
been watching
Right.
National Geographic, right? That got me scared. But
Yeah, man. No, man.
it
Then that's
influenced you.
fun. That's not scary. That's fun.
Anyways, you go ahead to explain because when I watched those sharks and all that kind of stuff, I said, "What, Fort James?" But anyways, you explain to us.
Right, right. So say that's actually what got me inspired in this career is things like that, and then realizing that you didn't see people that look like us doing this a lot. So that kind of really
Ah,
helped to push me through this journey.
Okay, good.
excellent. And so now we come to the main topic we want to discuss today. And we're doing this discussion today, but we're going to do a career week. I think we need to do that because what you're just describing there is something that I think we want to explore more with our young people as options for them to explore. But today,
Hmm.
we're now going to be discussing the closed season,
Season.
the science
Hmm.
behind the closed season, and then drilling on what we have this season. Because we know that in Antigua, it's not only lobster and parrotfish that we have closed season for. We have for other things too. We're just in this particular season.
Just not
So if
touching
you could
lobster
help us
fish.
out by explaining
Right,
why a closed season as it relates to our marine environment.
right. Okay, all right. And I think that's an excellent place to start. So the closed seasons are essentially regulations that are put in place to allow a biological organism, in this case, as you said right now, we're in the closed season for parrotfish, or locally called chubfish, and for lobster. And it's to allow them to follow their natural processes. So you have to think about it this way. Human beings can more or less reproduce any time of the year. Most mammals can more or less reproduce any time of the year. Things in the ocean are normally very constrained to these narrow windows. So it depends on the time of the year. It sometimes depends on the phase of the moon. It depends on what the tides are doing. And so there are particular times of the year when these fish are able to reproduce
Mm-hmm.
on a mass scale.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying there's no reproduction at any other point, but this is when the predominant reproduction occurs. And what closed seasons do is to try and stop us from impacting the fish population at the time when it's trying to reproduce so that we can have more fish in the future. That is really the goal of it. It's to ensure that we can continue to have this going forward.
But why do we want to have a closed season in the Antiguan quote-unquote waters when it's a big, big sea? That's what somebody asked me.
It's big. So, okay. And I love that question. I love that question because everybody always says the sea is so big they can't empty it. Right? Okay. So you can't empty the water out the sea. I'll take that. I'll take that. But see like how we live in the Caribbean, we're close to the water. If you put us to live up in the Himalayas, we're not going to feel comfortable, right? But I wouldn't feel comfortable. I don't know about SlyJ. SlyJ may like the cold, but I wouldn't feel comfortable, right? In the same way, oceans have different depths, right? So you ain't go to the beach, the water is shallow. When you go to the open ocean, it may be a couple thousand feet in depth. Different creatures can live within particular depth range. So when we're managing these things, we're managing things that even though they're found throughout the Caribbean, the population that we see are limited to our area because of the depth of the water. And so they normally don't go beyond a particular depth. So we have to manage our population.
Excellent. And so in terms of this managing the population, SlyJ stepped away for a minute, so he's back now, so you can pull him back in because he didn't realize that you were dropping off for him.
Me.
Okay.
I mean, you can get me in trouble in this interview.
No. We listen.
This is beautiful.
One of the things that we fail to do in Antigua and Barbuda that we need to do more is to take responsibility for our action. All right. So which is why I deliberately coined the question in that particular setting. So then now we come to know that we are in between May and June. We are now saying
May from the beginning of May to the end of June is a close season for lobster. The beginning of May to the end of July is a close season for chubfish or parrotfish.
For me, chubfish can always be off the market. But
I don't understand you guys.
Listen, that's a whole different conversation. We can't have that conversation.
You're right, because somebody's saying
here. We have a whole lot of conversation about
chubfish, no?
That aspect.
Yes.
We can't have that conversation today. That's not a conversation.
You can taste the sand when you eat it because it eats coral and all that.
So let's start with the SlyJ made a point about taste the sand. Why do we need a close season for the parrotfish?
Okay, all right. So to give you a very quick biology lesson in 30 seconds, chubfish slash parrotfish are herbivores. So think about what your cows and your goats do on land. That's what your chubfish and your doctorfish do in the ocean, right? They eat the plant matter, right? And so when you think about corals, the coral reefs that we have, they actually are in, you see like what's happening in the eastern part of the world right now, and there's a lot of fighting.
Yes.
Corals and algae are always fighting among each other, right? And they depend on these herbivores, so your chubfish, your doctorfish, etc., to reduce the amount of algae so you can get more corals. And when you have more corals, it produces more homes. And when you have more homes, you have more fish can live on the reef. And when you have more fish that can live on the reef, there's more fish to go on my plate, or your plate, or SlyJ plate, or somebody else's plate.
And so we
really and truly, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry, apologies.
So really and truly, it's this connection. It's chubfish as parrotfish are one of our primary herbivores, and they eat a lot of the plant-like matter on the reef. So not your seaweed, not the thing that you see off of the beach. It's what you see growing on the reef. So seagrass / seaweed, as we call it, and algae are two different things. Again,
so I just want to ask one question. You said that what does on the land does the same thing that the coral fish does?
The chubfish, so like what your cows do, cows eat grass.
Cows, yes. Okay, so
right.
Okay,
so
good.
Your chubfish are the cows of the ocean.
But they can yam.
That's one way to put it.
They can yam.
We're not talking about whether or not they can eat. We're talking about whether or not we need to let them reproduce.
Yes. But just to those people who are thinking that way, I'm just letting them know they can eat. They're grass eaters.
Can I just intervene for 2 seconds there, Ruleo? SlyJ, bear with me. Yulin and Monique, stay focused. Listen to what he is saying and stop looking at the photo. We'll take it down. Okay? Yes, he's a handsome young man with a beautiful smile. Really, they're distracted. I'm just telling them to stay focused on what you're saying. Okay? Right. Let's go back. So now, Ruleo, you're saying that the chubfish helps create the environment so that we can have all the other fish. Bottom line.
Yes.
right,
Yes,
people?
that is one of that is a simplification, but
Right,
yes, it absolutely does.
right.
It is crucial to ensuring that we have reefs
Mm.
that not only create the environment for the creatures that we have, we have to also remember reefs also reduce wave energy. So when you have a
Hmm.
hurricane coming, the healthier your reefs are, the less affected your coastline gets.
Repeat that
Right?
again.
Reefs provide
No, repeat that last point you just
reefs
made.
coral reefs
Uh huh.
reduce wave energy. So when you have a hurricane or you have a big, sometimes the lesson that we have swells coming and there's small craft advisory,
Mm-hmm.
etc., etc. Healthy reefs help to reduce the amount of energy in the wave before they get to the shore, so you get less coastal erosion when you have healthier reefs, right? There are people who make money from snorkeling and diving around reefs. There are people who make money from recreational fishing around reefs and carrying out tourists, etc.
Mm-hmm.
There are people whose mental health, including
Mm-hmm.
myself, get better when I just go snorkeling on a
I've
coral
seen
reef.
you
So it's
underwater.
not just
You're having so much fun,
Yeah,
as
I've
if you
tried to
live
find the
under
video.
there.
Yes.
big man, it's paradise.
I tell you,
That's
man.
all I'll tell you. It's paradise.
And so now, how let's move on now to the lobster. How does the close season help us with our lobster population, and what comes on our
So
plate?
a similar thing in terms of reproduction. So fish don't have and lobsters, they don't have cell phones, they don't have internet, they can't email, they can't go on Tinder, swipe right, find a match, link up, etc., etc. So because they have to reproduce at a particular time of the year when these environmental cues are happening,
Mm-hmm.
what you want to do is ensure that you have a large population available because with marine creatures, for most of them, the larger the population, the more successful the reproductive process are,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you want more things in your population, you want more creatures in your population, so that you can have a larger stock of lobster. 'Cause everybody loves lobster. I
Mm-hmm.
love lobster.
Mm.
I will never deny that I love lobster. But the thing is, do we want to eat all the lobster now, or do we want to ensure that 10 years from now there's lobster available to eat?
Just one
Right? And
question.
that's the conversation.
I want to make this absolutely clear to our folks out there. This is not about all the size you catch now in this season. No, it is a closed season, period.
Yes, there's a complete closed season
Good.
during this. Outside of this time, there's size limits
Mm-hmm.
because what you also want to do is just like how you can have young, like a farmer has goats and you have a kiddies
Mm-hmm.
and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same way, you can have you have cases where as you want to leave the juveniles in the population so that they can mature to the
Mm-hmm.
point that they can reproduce. So that's why you have size limits. So if you know lobster has a size limit, you're not supposed to eat on the size lobster.
Mm-hmm.
But that is when the lobster season is open. As you said, SlyJ, when the lobster season is closed, they're all off limits.
Okay.
Completely. There's no if, buts, or maybes. Completely off limits during that time.
And when you speak of off limits, are we
Right?
allowed to have lobster or chubfish in our freezers so that we can consume during the close season? In other words, could I stockpile towards the end of April so that I have and I can use down in May and June?
Just no sell none.
So let's I like this question because this has been the heavy question that has popped up recently, which is not the first time, but let's address it.
Mm-hmm.
So the law says it is illegal for a person to fish for, take, place for sale, purchase, or have in possession any of these species during the close season. Fish for, take, place for sale, purchase, or have in possession. And so everybody goes, oh, but what happened if I have it in my freezer? Right? That's the number one question. I had it in my freezer before the season
Mm.
ended, right? It comes down to two things. It comes down to how easy can you enforce something, right? Um, we currently don't have the mechanisms to have accurate tracking of everything that everybody catches prior. But the other major part, and probably the larger part, comes back to what I said in terms of the more fish that are available during the reproductive season, the more likely that you have more successful reproduction. So how I like to say it, right, SlyJ,
Mm.
is everybody loves money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody would agree. Everybody likes to have more money in their bank account. At least I would love to have more money in the bank account. Me and Petra, SlyJ, maybe your bank account is
No,
He maybe he
nice
don't
and
want,
fat.
but
no
yeah,
word, no word,
we have
Yeah, yeah,
missions.
yeah, yeah.
no word, Mr. Harris.
But
You
okay.
set me up.
All right. So here's an example that I've used. You have this bank, and for 2 months, the bank says it's going to give you 50% interest for 2 months, right? If you know your bank every year for 2 months is going to give you 50% interest on your savings account, you would want to make sure that there's as much money in your savings account prior to that 2 months so you can get as much returns from the interest as possible, right?
True.
That makes sense?
Of course.
Right. So in the same way, in this high chance of reproduction for the species, you want to ensure that as much of them are there as possible in the ecosystem. So that's why you don't want to stockpile, because when you stockpile, when you put a bunch in your fridge so you can go through the closed season, you're reducing the success of the creature during its reproductive time. And so because of that, what you don't want to, that's why they say you can't have in your possession, because you want to ensure that there's as much available so that after the close season, you can then stock back up. And it's only 2 months. It's only 2 months that we're at. We're among the shortest. Most places is 4 to 5 months. I know at least one place that has a 6 month close season. We're 2 months. And we're struggling with 2 months. And if the population collapses, it's going to be more than 2 months in the future. So we
Ruleo,
have to also think about it that way.
I'm gonna
Right.
read. I'm gonna read a question to you. I'm just gonna read it. So me must throw away my expensive lobster that in my freezer that I bought a few weeks before the deadline. Will I be compensated for the money I just spent? Remember, lobster not cheap now.
Right. Okay. So fair question. And here's my response to that. There's two
Let me
parts of
hear.
the response to that.
Let me hear this
One,
one.
these cold seasons have been there since 2014. These cold seasons aren't new. They're not something that have just freshly come. So it's about how you plan. It's about ensuring that you plan better, because every year, the beginning of May is cold season for lobster. So if you know in April, the midway through April, and you have 5 lobster left back,
Yam
have a
them.
lobster cook up. Yam them. Right? But don't go buy more to ensure that you
Ah,
have enough to
And say,
last through the
okay,
season.
2 months
Right?
worth of lobster.
So that's part of it. It's again, the idea is you don't, because if everybody said, oh, let me go buy 20 pounds of lobster so that over the next 2 months I have enough, then there's not enough lobster to reproduce. And then in 2 years, you can't find 20 pounds of lobster, you can only get 10. And 2 more years from that, you can't find 10, you only get 5. And then 2 more years from that, you only get
Can't
one
get
pound. And then
none.
2 more years from that, you don't get any lobster. And then people can say, oh, they should have done better to manage the fishery.
If I could have, would have, should have.
But we all have a responsibility to play in terms of, we know the close season come. They're played in Florida. The dates of the close season gets adjusted based on the previous year's stock assessment. So it changes every year.
so
And
in other
sometimes they
words,
randomly will.
slow down there, Ruleo. I want you to pause right there. So in other words, if last year at the end of that close season and what they've seen post that their fisheries people don't see the desired stock levels that they want, they can make an
They increase the
adjustment
close season.
to lengthen it
Yes.
the subsequent year.
Yes.
Versus in
That's what most
Antigua,
places do.
we just do the fixed period.
We just have a fixed date right now.
All right.
And the thing is, I think people don't understand that there is a possibility that we can push this fishery to the point where we have to move away from the fixed date and have these a lot more stringent methods. We have the simplest method at this point. But if we can't follow this method, we're going to create problems also in the future. And that's the part that I think people don't really understand.
In marine studies, are you seeing that kind of atmosphere in Antigua and Barbuda where we may, if we don't take stock, end up having, not what we're accustomed to have in terms of the fisheries?
That's a very interesting question, SlyJ. And how I'll answer that is saying that we have seen loss in our reef habitats from
Okay.
various aspects. We have seen a reduction in many of our other fish stocks. What I would do is that actually defer to fisheries division in
Right.
terms of what their stock assessments are showing, because it's where, yeah, you understand. But we do know that our reefs aren't as healthy as they were 20 years ago, right? So you think about it. If your home isn't as strong, you can't support as much persons in your home, right?
Or you
So
can't
that's
withstand
already
the
a red flag.
hurricane.
Right.
Right.
Or we can't withstand the climate change impact or rehydration,
Right.
right? So you have to think about it that way. So it's an interesting question where I don't look at stock assessments for lobster. So I don't want to give an answer to that. I'd rather fisheries division give an answer to that. But we know the environment that they live in isn't doing as good as it used to do, which is a potential red flag in terms of how the population may do going forward. And I know in some other places they've actually had to increase close season lengths because of concerns over the lobster fishery.
So I want to stick with your perspective, like you said, as the marine ecologist, not because we're going to have to get to the regulators and ask them some hard questions. But from your perspective, you live in our waters. You are able to dive and explore various areas of Antigua and Barbuda.
And hunt. And
Huh?
hunt. And hunt.
And hunt.
Let's be
Yes.
honest.
So let's go
I'm
now.
a registered commercial fisherman myself.
All right. So I'm
Like
coming.
I don't say this from I'm just a scientist and I don't actively do this. This is something that I actively participate in.
So you're preempting my question, which is excellent. So you are in our waters. How do you reconcile what you're saying as the marine ecologist to the fishermen who sees that that you're messing with their way of life because they live on its season and restaurants want lobster and people, for whatever reason, I don't know why, want chubfish. Yes,
Listen
like
here.
chubfish, we can't stand it.
Listen here.
How do you reconcile? You have a question,
I just
Sly?
we'll have this conversation at another point.
I was just about to say here, son, because somebody saying chubfish is good for people with low blood pressure. An old lady told me so years ago. So you see how good chubfish is?
Ruleo, go ahead.
So Petra, to your question. So there's two things. And I'm going to use a term that I've gotten from fishermen themselves because when I was doing my master's, I actually worked with fishermen on some of these issues. The majority of professional fishermen, the serious fishermen, the guys who do this on a long-term basis, understand that if we don't protect these species during their reproductive time, their future ability to make money gets affected. So yes, you can say that you're potentially affecting your current ability to generate income for this period. But if you can sacrifice a couple months to ensure that you have years, they all will prefer to make that decision. And this is from conversations I have. When you talk to them, they say they will say they know the parrotfish clean the reef. They know that the lobster during certain time behave different. They know that when they get lobster certain time, there's more eggs. They understand. So it's almost more of, this is not a thing of where I find, in my personal perspective, that fishermen don't necessarily understand. It's more of the market doesn't seem to want to accept the requirements that are there. And that's why the law is written the way it says. It says fish for, take, have for sale, or have in your possession, because it's not just fishermen that it's speaking to. And we like to put a lot of blame on the fishermen. We like to say, oh, fisherman this, and fisherman that, and fisherman this, and fisherman that. But at the end of the day, it's everyone has a role to it. It can't just be the fisherman. It has to be the restaurant. It has to be the person going out and buy food. It has to be the beach vendor. It has to be everybody has a role to play, right? It cannot just be one. And we like to blame fishermen because fishermen are the first link. But oftentimes the fishermen respond to the pressures that they are getting. And so I've had fishermen say, well, I'd prefer not to, but if this is what the customers
The pressure.
for continuing,
Oh, so if the customer want done them off.
y'all need to start going at them because I don't have a problem stopping, but they're saying they're gonna move on to other people, and this is my lifelong customer. So I have to meet the customer demand.
Okay.
This is why the law is written the way it is, because the law does not only appeal to fishermen, restaurant, everybody, the average person. This law speaks to everybody, not just the person catching the thing.
If you're against the law and the season closed down for chubfish, now go buy chubfish, because I don't know you off limit.
So, Ruleo, we want to thank you very much for sharing with us. It's been very insightful. I think what you would probably encourage SlyJ and I to do, Sly, in case I'm not here, is to find the fisher folk, the fisheries division, and probably have them share with us a little bit about the legislation and the fines and so on. Because I think although it's been enforced for a while, that we still, as a public, we don't take it seriously enough.
No, I don't think we do.
And we
I
don't
fully
perhaps,
agree with you.
and we don't understand our role and responsibilities in it.
And I don't know if you saw it, but some people are saying, well, we're just customers. We're not fishermen.
Well, he just said that the consumers have a critical role to play. So we're going to, because I think we need to follow up on this a little more. But really, we want to thank you for two things. One, well, three things apparently. I didn't expect the bonus one. But one, for opening up our awareness in terms of that it is close season for the lobster and the chub, and why we as the consumers primarily, I'm sure there are other business people listening, the restaurant owners, fisher folk themselves, we all need to pay attention, but why as the consumers we need to be a part of this process and say no if we see them to purchase, because if we say no, then it's a done deal, I think. Even and one, that's one. Two, making us aware too that we need to, of course, get the act itself and the fisheries division on board to educate us even further, right? And 3A, opening us up to the marine ecology so that we can perhaps expose our young people a bit more to that opportunity and similar opportunities beyond our traditional careers. And the last one, these women on here, on your, he has a wife, okay, people?
Oh, my goodness.
He has a wife.
Boss
Y'all
lady.
stop it.
Oh, my
Okay.
boss lady.
All right.
I must stop this blighting business. Oh,
Not
you
blight.
know the man we want anybody if you know he married.
I know.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So, Ruleo, we want to thank you very much for opening the because I think we need to have a few conversations about this. Remember, I don't know if there's any parting
Agreed.
words you want to share with us before you wrap.
Listen. The part this conversation is going to be its own separate conversation. I have had to learn things about that conversation, and I think me and SlyJ will probably have a good conversation about that. But again, I don't think what I want people to understand is the decision is between having something now or having it for the next 10 years.
All right.
That's the decision you make, because it's weird to think about it that way, but that is we get to the point where you have to make a call in terms of you want to eat lobster this year or you want to keep eating lobster for the next 10 years.
All right.
And that's your call.
Okay.
You figure out which one you prefer.
Okay.
Sounds drastic, but we've seen
is-
it in other aspects of the marine ecosystem already, so it's only a matter of time before we get there.
That is the reality.
And so people need to think about it from that perspective.
Well,
All right. Thank you so much. Sly, any
yes,
parting
son.
words from you?
Well, son, thank you very much for educating us this morning on how the fisheries are going. And like somebody's saying here, only in Antigua, well, okay, I'll take it. Only in Antigua we have problems with the rules and regulations. Here in Florida, we know the cutoff point. And you're Antiguan and you know. In Florida. Okay. You understand? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so let us
All
just
right.
follow the rules and regulations. You can yam them off one time today and on tomorrow.
All right, Ruleo, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so very much. We'll
No
touch base
problem.
with you
Thank you
again
for
before
having
the season is done.
Thank you, son.
And
All
the
right,
best.
no problem.
And keep them diving. I see you on the water, son. I say, well, watch you like a boy for me now. I want to go. He's so comfortable on it day. Have a good day, son.
All right.
Thank God for people like
Thank you very much.